What's up, guys? Welcome to what is now the third episode of the Lit Podcast, Last Inning Touchdown, and we've got tons of stuff for you this week. Man, I'm having a good time. I look forward to this every week now. I have a good time sitting down, chatting about things that we care about in the esports world. A lot of fun. I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, I've been having a good time because obviously no one else here knows though, but me and Jason used to play sports games and literally talk sports for hours and hours and hours on end. And then now we rarely play games that much together at all. So because of that, we still talk, like text and stuff, but we never actually sit down and chat.
Yeah, and I think once baseball really gets going, I think it's gonna be interesting because you and I don't always agree on stuff, and we have those good conversations of kind of different opinions. So I think once baseball gets going, things will get really exciting.
Yeah, me and Jason are
but
big different. We're big different in baseball, and we're both right a lot. But that
baseball
also means if
fanatics.
we're both right a lot, then we're both wrong a lot.
True. All right.
I said my Cardinals were going to have a way better record than his team, and that was true, but it wasn't way
barely. Yeah.
Anyway,
so I guess we need to get started with the baseball award announcements. So baseball has announced most of their awards so far this year. MVP comes out tomorrow night. So that's the only one we don't have as of right now. And so far, we're pretty spot on. I mean, both managers of the years, Kevin Cash and Mr. Donnie Baseball. No surprises there, really. I guess Kevin Cash might have been a little bit up in the air, but I think anytime Tampa Bay does anything, it's impressive. So it's kind of hard to deny how good they were too.
Make sure my phone's muted. My phone is muted. Okay, so AL was a little more interesting because Toronto.
Yes.
But National League was obvious. I mean, the presumptive worst team, which in my opinion they weren't definitely going to be the worst team, but they should never have been as good as they were, especially after COVID. So
right.
It was a definite manager of the year, period.
So the place we swung and missed massively, Devin Williams. Devin Williams was the National League Rookie of the Year, and we both put him as our third. And I think it was because
the best rookie, no question.
He was by far, and he was like almost a record, if not a record-setting year for a relief pitcher. Our only argument was, is a relief pitcher carry enough value to beat out the other two? And we personally felt like that a relief pitcher doesn't carry that value. Obviously, they disagree.
I personally love relief pitching and think he does, but I didn't think voters would. And don't get me wrong, I think that he could have definitely lost the other two, but Devin Williams was the best rookie in baseball, hands down. Did not matter who you're talking about. He was the best rookie player in the sport because he was the best player at his position in the sport.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And maybe, historically one of the best seasons out of a reliever ever. Anytime you say one of the best ever at anything, you kind of deserve an award there.
We both just drastically undervalued the relief aspect
and what they thought of a reliever too.
Yeah.
So, you could call with Kyle Lewis. Good call with Kyle Lewis.
Unanimous.
We were. The only reason we were a little up in the air is because we thought Star Power name might beat him out, but that Kyle Lewis had the best season.
On Kyle Lewis.
I kind of thought that Kyle Lewis was statistically the better player, and don't get me wrong, I really didn't realize it till you brought it up, so complete shout out to you there, knowing Kyle Lewis as Rookie of the Year. But I thought there was a chance that Star Power would beat him out.
I followed it because a new friend of mine who started at work probably about 4 or 5 months ago got really excited about the White Sox. He was like, the first time I can really say I'm excited day one that their team's going to be good. And he was right. They were good. But Luis Robert was just a freak. And he was always excited about him. And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, he's not even going to win Rookie of the Year. And he kept telling me I was crazy the whole year. And the only reason why I followed it so closely was because he was telling me I was wrong. And that Kyle Lewis was going to not win. And the only reason why I had any doubt in my mind was because Luis won the Gold Glove in center field.
Right.
Like a couple.
That and the fact that he's just the sexier name.
Team was way better.
Part of me thought that the sexy name would win there.
He had about 489 feet in the postseason. I mean, that's pretty savage.
And then Cy Youngs were Shane Bieber and Trevor Bauer. We said both, though. Shane Bieber was very, very impressive.
Did I get Bauer right?
I believe so. I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I think
Because
that I think we both said we thought Bauer would win, but we did think that there might be just some discussion based on competition.
Well,
I
yeah, because
believe.
I brought that up. You didn't really think
Yeah.
about it, about how I was like,
No.
the National League does not score. The National League Central does not score runs. The National League East and the AL East, they both score runs. So DeGrom has more of an argument. I think we both wind up going Bauer, but I said DeGrom has way more of an argument than you were giving him credit for.
And if we have
Why?
any loyal
But
listeners that are smart enough and paying attention enough to call us out for being wrong, I want you to call us out and say that one of us didn't say Bauer. Mostly
absolutely.
because I just appreciate the fact that you're watching that closely. So please call us
Yeah.
out for it and then
I
tell us
think
we're
I chose
dumb.
Bauer
So
because I'm a fanboy. I'm a Bauer
right.
fanboy.
I think
I love him
I
and his
think at the
agent.
end of the discussion we did say Bauer, but we did have there was some argument there about that competition. Shane Bieber was very obvious, and I didn't realize until I saw the announcement. So MLB TV did a like 3-screen video call with the 3 pitching possibilities for Cy Young or whatever. And so then they were doing the stats for different ones. And Shane Bieber struck out 41% of batters that he
Yeah.
faced. That's insane.
Yeah.
41% of his outs were strikeouts.
His first 4 starts, if you actually like go in
Yeah.
depth after this, his first 4 starts, he K'd like 70 guys.
Yeah, it
or
was
like
insane.
60 plus
I
guys.
remember
He was
watching
K'ing
it.
like 14 a game.
Yeah, I remember watching the highlights and stuff. You know, it's really common for me with my workout stuff at home. Like I put on the TV, I put on MLB Network, and I work out in the mornings. Kind of slacking there lately, but
He's
that was
huge.
really common for me was to do that stuff. And I remember the first few weeks of baseball, I was like, dang, dude, Shane Bieber's not this good. He's not this good. What is happening? He's not this good. And then he just kept doing it, man. He is that good. And so,
Imagine the Indians had them both.
oh my God, dude, the Indians produce pitching like nobody's business.
I know it was
It is
always a joke for a
crazy.
long time that the Cardinals could pull any pitcher up and they'd be good, but like it's hands down the Indians are way better
Yeah,
than the
the
Cardinals
Indians
at
are
that,
doing that right now. Absolutely
because the
insane.
Cardinals pull they can call up everyone, they're all going to be good. The Indians call up everybody, and some of them are going to be great, and that's the
Yeah.
difference. The Cardinals,
The
we don't have to be
the
great.
Cardinals
We
will
got a
pull
good,
up
we got a bunch
guys
of
that are
studs.
nobodies. They're not even top prospects, and they're going to come out there, be a solid 3-4 starter every single time. These guys are like ace, 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 ace. You're just
Corey
like,
Kluber,
all right,
Trevor
relax,
Bauer,
dude.
Shane Bieber, Mike Clevenger.
Yeah, they're moving these guys like, and you're like, oh well, they'll never recover from that. And here comes another one, and you're just like, geez, what is happening here?
And the guy who blew it for them in the postseason this year is another one of those guys who's a freak of nature stud.
Yeah, absolutely crazy the stuff they're producing out there. It seems like the biggest news in baseball. This, I guess, switching topics here. I mean, as far as awards go, congratulations all those guys. We already gave you our in-depth opinions of that stuff, so I don't want to spend too much more time on it. But the big news in all of baseball right now is that the Mets now have new ownership, the richest owner in baseball, which is weird, crazy, and to even think about that someone can be richer than the Dodgers or the Yankees. So that's insane. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting because as we've seen in the past with baseball, when new owners take over, the first thing they do is make a big splash in free agency. And Marcus Stroman did accept his qualifying offer today,
Which I was right about.
so that is another piece to the puzzle. So the question, I mean, I don't even know if this is a question that necessarily needs an answer, but man, what other things do we think they're gonna do? I mean, I have to imagine they're
Just go get Bauer.
I
Just go get Bauer and just like you said, big free agent splash. Go get the best player on the market, Trevor Bauer. Lead your staff. You got Stroman coming in for at least a year.
you still got
can hit.
DeGrom.
You can hit.
The real question for the Mets though is got to be when you look at your pitching staff, what are you going to get out of Syndergaard moving forward? Is Syndergaard a Matt Harvey where he's already thrown his arm out and he's done? Or is he going to be able to bounce back and be dominant again? And I mean,
Who cares if he's dominant? He needs to be okay.
well, there's something to be said for
If he
that.
can
But when you've been
survive-
that good, you want to see I want to see him
But
bounce back.
if they get sorry, I said that wrong. If they get Bauer, you need him to survive. With Stroman, DeGrom, and Bauer, you just need him to survive. You don't even need him to be that good. But I mean, you're a World Series contender and arguably favorite if he is that good, though. But
so do you think that Bauer is the guy that they should target most in the free
Yeah,
agency.
there's teams that are pretty close, and I think the Mets are closer than people give them credit for.
So
But at the same time, they've had DeGrom for a long time, and they can't score a single run behind that guy.
that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that
And Edwin Diaz sucks.
pitching is not their main struggle. I think that lack of offense really is, and I've heard a lot of rumors that JT Realmuto is like the Mets are the favorite for Realmuto.
Oh,
They
that'd be
want,
cool.
yeah. So Realmuto is currently, yeah, he's trying to play for everybody in the NL East. I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's going for. But no, so I've heard that JT Realmuto is a good possibility there in New York. I mean, they, not to mention the fact that you got to keep in mind too that they just got a new owner who's very rich, obviously, but they also have like Yoenis Cespedes coming off the books. So that's some money there. I mean, they've got some money coming off the books as well.
Who's their shortstop?
Is it Rosario or whatever?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Ahmed Rosario or something.
Yes, that sounds right. So I mean, I've heard Realmuto, and I've heard people go as crazy as saying they might snag Springer and Realmuto. I mean, that would be a heck of an off season to grab both those guys. I mean,
if you got the money, but I mean, like you said, you're losing Yoenis Cespedes. Your owner's rich, so
I mean, yeah. If you think Cespedes' old contract, I mean, I don't remember exactly what he's making, but it wasn't cheap. I mean, you got to imagine, especially with this COVID season, that it's not gonna. You're not gonna break any records with these contracts.
But he's the one who didn't pay for all that COVID stuff.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, as far as like what these players are going to get this year, no one's going to be breaking records with these deals. So, I mean, I would bet the Cespedes and like a Springer. I think the contracts would be very comparable. Like, it wouldn't be a huge difference on the team payroll. So it's not outrageous for them to go and say, look, we're adding Realmuto and Springer is just basically the same as what we had on the books.
I mean, the Mets literally signed Rick Porcello and Michael Wacha for $19 million total for last year.
I mean, I think it'll be
because they signed Wacha 1 year 9 and Porcello 1 year 10, I believe. I mean this is a year ago. I read this. I did not look it up, but they paid both those guys a boatload of money to be garbage, and then they're off the books. Yoenis Cespedes off the books. Just like I said, the Cardinals should do in 2021. Wait 1 more year because they're gonna all of a sudden open mass amounts. Maybe the Mets have opened up mass amounts. Who knows? I don't follow the Mets.
I mean, I don't think the Mets have huge contracts coming off the book other than Cespedes, but I think that, when you're talking about, that is a pretty big contract and a big ownership that you've got opportunity there. That seems pretty obvious. I think the other interesting play is a DJ LeMahieu. Would DJ?
I've always been a big.
I mean, DJ LeMahieu is super versatile. The guy played just about every position in the infield this year.
He won Gold Glove.
So it's like he could definitely fit into the Mets, who could use some help. And then I've also I guess another little news. The rumor on the street is that the DH will be back next year for both leagues. So
is that true? I heard it was 2022.
I heard they went to discuss it for next year.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed for 2022.
I would bet that it's just going to happen. I mean, I think that adds a nice little interesting factor to baseball too, because a lot of these National League teams are not built to have a basically 9th player play every single day. So it's going to be interesting to see how many of these teams say, well, we need a 9th player to play every day, or are they just going to use it kind of like a day off kind of deal?
But their run support in the National League last year was insane besides the NL Central.
So speaking of something like that, it's very interesting because they posted, I think it was MLB posted on Instagram maybe. They posted an image that had the last like 10 years worth of Cy Youngs. And it's interesting how the American League has had a bunch of different Cy Young winners over the last 10 years. And the National League has had like 5 guys dominating their league for the last like 10 years. I mean, it's like there's probably like 7 of the 10 is the same group of 3, 4, 5 guys winning it. And it's like, dang, dude, that just shows how good and deep that the pitching is in the National League, that they've got guys that are contending for the Cy Young every single season for the last 10 years. Because I believe DeGrom, Kershaw, and Scherzer, those 3 alone have several Cy Young's the last
Lester
10 years.
won one too. I think Lester was in there.
So,
Arrieta.
yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. So it'll be interesting moving forward to see how the DH does impact the National League long term. But it'll also be interesting going into like next year too. You know, it'll be interesting with this offseason too. Like if they do decide to do this and the teams know it going in, are they going to try and pick up a DH, or are they just going to play it kind of like they did last year where somebody kind of just, you do have a DH, but it's also your rest day kind of slot. So I guess, you know, the off season is going to be interesting this year. I mean, we've kind of touched on it many times before. The top end guys are going to make their money. Their bottom end guys are going to probably not. And so my thought with this COVID off season is we're going to see a lot of 1 and 2 year deals. I think we're going to see a lot. And I don't know about you, and I don't know. I'm sure you've thought about this a lot. This opens up a ton of opportunity for teams like the Marlins and even the Cardinals, because the Cardinals really aren't big players and free agents. But when you talk about less money and short deals, you know, the common saying in baseball is there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal. Well, if people are signing a lot of 1 year deals this year, I mean, you got a lot of options, because it's like if you're the Cardinals and you look at it and you say, my outfield has not been very good this year. Dylan Carlson was very
was great. What do you mean?
And then you might look and say, well, Dylan Carlson maybe didn't perform as well as we hoped. Maybe he's not ready. So you sign an outfielder to a 1 year deal and give him another year in the minor.
As someone who watched the Cardinals and watched Dylan Carlson will be starting every single day. I guarantee.
So here's the thing. I believe personally.
I'm not saying like that is in like I'm a Cardinal bias or that his stats weren't that good. The dude, after he got called up a second time, was nuts. He
did play much better, which is an interesting saying to say he got called up because he really didn't get to go do anything else. But it is but I know what you're saying. And so, but it is interesting though, because I believe the Cardinals are still going to do next to nothing. And I think that they're going to say, well, look, you know, we want to see what we have. They didn't get to play a full year, like, Dylan Carlson. They're just
time I'm okay with it.
They just keep pushing the same, but they've been pushing the same little story for a while now. This is the difference between you and me. This is a big turnoff to me of why I didn't like the Cardinals. Is I always got sick of hearing like, oh, we like our guys, we like our guys, we like our guys. Like,
well, so until we went to college, was that a wrong strategy?
Well, I mean, there's something to be said for that. I mean, you're absolutely right.
It was incredibly correct, and they've still been incredibly successful. They just haven't had that.
It was just boring.
They haven't been. I know,
it was boring for me. It was boring for me.
They signed the right guys early, and it was done.
Yeah.
They traded Scott. They traded Placido Polanco for Scott Rowland. They signed Jim Edmonds. They signed Jason Isringhausen. They got everybody. Albert Pujols.
Edgar Renteria. They signed
Edgar Renteria. I mean,
they pulled these guys. They pulled these guys off of teams that couldn't afford these players anymore. Back before the collective.
A drunk as a coach, who apparently is still a drunk 20 years later, and then they got it done.
That's not surprising.
And they got it done, and then guess what? They won a lot of games. But no, this year I know that it's what this is doing is giving me false hope for the 2021-2022 offseason, and then they're going to do nothing again, even though all that $60+ million is freed up. And they're not going to do anything this season either, and it's going to upset me. But I'm going to still be excited for that 2021-2022 offseason because it could happen. They could sign a $25 million a year man to go along with Goldie, to go along with hopefully Dylan Carlson pans out, to go along with Paul DeYoung, to go along with hopefully Tommy Edman, and hopefully Andrew Knitzer has figured it out, or they've signed Yachty again, and Andrew Knitzer is going to sit there and rot in hell.
So here's something I am a little concerned about as a outside person looking in on the Cardinals. When you didn't bring back Wong, does that mean that the Cardinals are preparing to play Matt Carpenter at third base all year and move Tommy Edman to second, or one of those two combinations? Like, is Matt Carpenter now an everyday player again with this setup, and they're going to be okay with that?
It hurts.
I mean, it does. It does. It hurts thinking about that, because
they're either going to sign Wong.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. Is they could sign him for a lower contract than what his other was.
And the reason why is because they're like Edmonds younger, it's whatever, and defensively it's not that big of a difference. Even though watching Colton Wong play second base is like a huge deal for me.
But then like the
Because
difference
God, he's
is,
so talented.
but if I'm comparing Colton Wong to Matt Carpenter, it's not even fair.
But the issue with that is they want somebody who can play third that can rake. And you know who can't rake as a third baseman? Tommy Edman. But you know who can hit pretty well as a second baseman? Tommy Edman.
You know who can't
And
hit as a third baseman? Matt Carpenter. You know who
But
can't
guess
field
what?
the position?
But
Matt
guess what?
Carpenter.
But guess what?
You know who has a fat contract? Matt Carpenter.
Matt Carpenter's contract, once again, like I've stated 1,000 times, and like I said, when the 2021-2022 offseason, they don't do anything, I'm going to be disappointed, and it's all false hope because the Cardinals don't do anything because they're boring. But they're set up, like I said, to bank 1 year of being bad and playing with bad players, and then they're still going to sell a mountain of seats because you know that, Jason, better than anybody. The Cardinals can throw whoever they want out there, and they're selling 43,000 a game. And guess what? That's okay. And what that's going to do is going to free up $20 million for when Cardinals free agent that they can, because what they're either doing is they're either freeing it up for Nolan Gorman, their top draft pick who just roasts baseballs in the minor leagues, or they're going to go and try to get somebody big like Jose Ramirez.
So,
or Nolan Arenado, and then I just hate myself.
All right, so I've got two places I want to go with this baseball conference.
Yes,
but I think we'll go with the short. We'll go with the shorter one first. We're gonna just do because I want to have time to discuss the other one. So, and this is just gonna go long because I just don't even care. Okay, so top 5 free agents right now. Trevor Bauer. This is a MLB's list or whatever. Trevor Bauer, DJ LeMahieu, JT Realmuto, George Springer, Marcell Ozuna. We're gonna play a little game.
All right, I need you to say that one more time. Because
we'll go through one at a time, anyways.
Okay.
And we're gonna try and guess where they think they're gonna go.
Okay.
So the first one's Trevor Bauer. Where do you think Trevor Bauer goes? So here's a little background. SI.com. This is actually SI.com, which whatever. They have him currently as a best fit for the Mets. So where do you think Trevor Bauer is going to end up?
Trevor Bauer is going to sign a 1-year deal worth $33.5 million.
Oh.
Because it's only 1 year, it's going to be expensive.
Okay.
With the Anaheim Angels.
No way. Okay, so you know what's funny is I was literally, while you were talking, thinking this is going to be one of those years where the Angels go out and sign somebody stupid for a huge contract like they always do and still suck, and no one's going to expect it, and that's where Bauer's going to go. That is literally what I was just thinking before you started talking was, you know what? I bet Bauer signs with someone that nobody expects, and it's going to be one of those times where the Angels sign somebody for a dumb contract. And that is exactly.
Contracts, even with that much money, aren't dumb.
No, I get it. I mean, I think you're on to something there for sure. I mean, that is exactly what my first thought was.
I think the Angels are the team that's going to offer the most money for a single year or for like a 7-year deal.
They have been trying to buy wins for so long. And it is not.
And they're going to do it again, Jason.
I'm telling you, I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Gonna die.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. But I think that the tough part is with a guy like Trevor Bauer, it's hard to project where he's going to go because he's so good and he's an ace. So pretty much anybody would like to have him. But I think it's funny that we were on the same page. That's exactly the team I was also going to say was the Angels. So I don't know what the chances of that are because my thought was that was such a random team that nobody would think of it. But obviously,
since day one,
I've on the same.
Since the offseason started,
team.
I said the Angels should if he's better than CJ Wilson. All right.
CJ Wilson. I was so mad when the Marlins didn't get him, and then afterwards I was so happy the Marlins didn't get him.
All right, next.
All right, DJ LeMahieu is number 2. So they have him listed as a bet fit.
All 30 teams.
I know. They're saying best fit is to return to the Yankees.
Yeah, he'll probably go back to the Yankees.
I could definitely see that also.
Because who the Yankees going to replace him with?
Right. I think that he's I think the other thing is for LeMahieu too is he really has found himself in New York. Like LeMahieu's like 6'5", and he was playing second base in Colorado, and the dude hit 300 with like 10 home runs. You're like, what is wrong with this guy? You're huge, and you're a 300 hitter with no power. And then he
won a Gold Glove,
right?
By the way, a 6'5" second baseman. 6'5" second baseman won a Gold Glove That's insane.
And so then he shows up in New York and has seemed to really kind of
It hits
turn
fly
the
balls to
corner. And
left.
I think he's really like he likes who he's become there. And I think that if I'm him, I would be kind of scared to go somewhere else just because you've had so much success there. And I think that once again, you're talking about top 5 free agent. He's going to get his money.
Depends on what he wants, though. Does he want the bag? Does he want the bag, or does he want better success? Because in New York, he's probably going to have more success. But even though I'm talking about the Yankees, probably might take a little less money than what other teams can offer now because this is in the early 2000s. But like, if he wants all money, he could accept a contract with maybe, an Angels or, a Dodgers and play everywhere, but maybe not have the power guys around him to just do
Well, the
whatever he
Dodgers
wants.
is an interesting team though because they won't have Justin Turner's a free agent this year.
And I don't know how much longer Max Muncy's on that team.
Right.
And
So
the DH is a lot.
I do kind of agree. Go back to New York. I also to the Yankees, and I did mention earlier I wouldn't be surprised to see him possibly go to the Mets as well.
DJ LeMahieu could play for all 30 teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I wouldn't bat an eye. I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right. DJ LeMahieu, yeah, he's playing for the Cardinals. Sounds right. Playing for the Mets. Sounds right.
All right, so arguably you could say this guy might be the bigger free agent than LeMahieu. JT Realmuto, 30 years old catcher.
I think he's the second biggest free agent.
All around player, yeah. I mean, he's being regarded a lot of places as the biggest bat on the market because you're getting a really good player, but he also is a really good catcher.
Yeah. Does he hit that many bombs?
He batted 266 with 11 home runs this year and stole 4 bases, but he was also hurt for part of the year too, I believe.
That's a solid number. Because like the NL East has a couple weak ballparks, including
I think the interesting thing about LeMahieu,
the second biggest catching prospect and not prospect, free agent is Yachty. You lulz.
So I have seen. So apparently, JT Realmuto is looking to sign a record-shattering contract in the range of $200 million.
Well, he won't get it.
So that's where, if you are placing that much money, I think all the rumors are pointing to the Mets. So I'm gonna say Mets because I think the Mets need a catcher. They have like none on the roster. I actually looked it up today. I literally have never heard of either one of their catchers that are on their depth chart. I have no idea who they are. And I think that he provides you 2 places. You need a catcher and you need offense. So I think Mets. That's my guess with Realmuto.
And I don't think he'll get that much money. I mean, if the Mets sounds right, the Mets sounds right. I don't think he's probably worth that much money, but he's a stud. Used to be a Marlin.
He did. Got Sixto Sanchez for him.
Yeah, and he's a stud, but $200 million for a 30-year-old? That means he's spending $25 a year if he signed for 8 years.
Yeah.
Catcher, you're going to sign a 30-year-old catcher to an 8-year deal?
That sounds like something the Mets would do, so.
That's what I'm saying. $200 million is nuts.
Them are the Angels.
You're not signing Yachty, Posey, or Realmuto at 26 or 27. You're signing with 30. No one should make that much money as a catcher, dude. Your body could die by that point. Yachty's a freak. Buster Posey's body has shut down a couple times, and he got mowed over and his leg broke in half. But that's
shouldn't have been standing there. All right, George Springer, 31 years old. They're saying best fit is to return to the Astros.
Yeah, I'm going Astros. I agree with that.
Do you have a reason?
I think it's where he needs to fit. Astros are going to be scared to leave.
I think the Astros is interesting though because
especially him.
I'm not. How much money is the Astros willing to spend? That's always the kicker. Is the Astros? I feel like I felt like they had money. Like they used to have really good teams, and now like they're considered a low budget team. So I don't know. Like Berkman, Biggio, and Bagwell. I mean those guys weren't cheap, and that was a solid team.
They also had
and now they're a budget team. Roy Oswalt,
and
Billy Wagner, and then Pujols ended Billy Wagner's career.
No, he ended.
Brad Lidge's career.
Brad Lidge actually, like a couple years later, went like 50 for 50 for the Phillies and won a World Series.
All right, so George Springer, you're thinking he returns to the Astros. The only reason I could see him going back to the Astros is if people think this whole trash can Astros thing, they don't want any of those players in their clubhouse.
I agree.
And I think a lot of fan bases might have a hard time accepting somebody like that. And so I could definitely see him returning to the Astros as
Like,
well.
why, dude? It's the shame train. You're scared. Like, it's literally scary for like only like four guys. Like a lot of guys, the teams wouldn't care. But Springer is one of the four guys that they're gonna throw that teams may throw a fit about. Their fans.
Yeah.
That obviously the Correa and the Altuve, but like he is one of the main guys, and I don't like him because of it. If you would have told me in 2017 he'd be a Cardinal in 2021, I'd be like, I'm down. But now I'm all aboard the Houston hate train. I know whatever the Cardinals, blah blah blah, the whatever team does this, blah blah blah. I don't care. They're the ones who got caught. They're the ones who made an embarrassment of themselves. Jason's got a theory that every team was doing it, but it's not my problem that
Don't get
only
caught.
shitheads here got caught. So,
All right. So the number 5 guy on here is the man himself. He has played for both of our teams, Marcell Ozuna. So Marcell Ozuna is an interesting guy. I watched him come up.
Listed as.
What do you mean?
I got him listed as an outfielder.
Yes, that's what they have him.
It's weird.
DH. Well, that might be true. So Marcell Ozuna was a guy that I watched coming up as the Marlins, and I remember telling everybody when he went to the Cardinals he would play terrible for the Cardinals because he can't be the heart of your order. And he played, for expectations, he played terrible. The expectations for him were to put up the season that he played with the Marlins. Everyone wanted him to be the guy that he played with the Marlins, and he was not that good for the Cardinals.
Well, he was really good his last year in St. Louis. The issue was he broke something and missed a lot of games. But when he played, he had like 260, but he had a ton of home runs. He was leading the league in RBIs when he got hurt. He was really good his last year in St. Louis. But the injury really was what made people forget how good he was. And then he came back for the postseason and just smoked the Braves. And the Braves said, yes, please. And there you go.
Yeah.
So the first year he was awful. The second, his last year in St. Louis, he was good. He just missed a lot of time due to an injury. But he was
so his last year that he was good, he batted 240.
Yeah, I said 260, so I was wrong.
So he left the Marlins batting 312 with 37 home runs and 124 RBIs. He did not perform anywhere near that with the Cardinals. He batted 280 with 23 home runs year one and 240 with 29 home runs. Those are still decent seasons, but people thought they were getting a 340 RBI guy who was going to hit in 100.
I didn't. I can tell you.
But most people did. And I
can tell you, I thought Paul Goldschmidt was going to win the MVP his first year in St. Louis.
Well, there you go. But so it is interesting. It is, so they thought they were getting something and they didn't. And then he went to Atlanta, and I told everyone he would tear it up there because he wasn't the main bat that everybody focuses on. And he did exactly that. Like, I was targeting him in fantasy baseball leagues because I thought he would tear it up in Atlanta. Atlanta is a hitter-friendly park compared to St. Louis, and they had way more bats around him. I thought that was a great place for him to play. So anyways, the question that we're actually asking here is, where is he going to go next year? SI.com has best fit the White Sox. They think he'll be a DH instead of Edwin Encarnacion.
I don't know. I don't like that. They need pitching. A DH. Well, I mean, this kind of changes things right now because he's a DH. He's not an outfielder. Both our websites list him as outfielders. He's probably the worst outfielder I've ever seen in my life playing for the Cardinals. And he won a Gold Glove in Miami, so I don't know what happened that year.
He fell apart for you.
Yeah, I climbed a wall and the ball landed like 4
So
feet
there is a thing though. So the Marlins, Marcell Ozuna showed up to camp the year before his really good year, so out of shape that the Marlins told him if he didn't get in shape, they were cutting him. So he then spent time getting in shape, had the best season of his career, and then showed up to the Cardinals out of shape again. So he showed up to the Cardinals horribly out of shape, and I think that him being out of shape hurt his defense as well. I think that was a big part of his struggle. Is that he's just not one of those people that puts a ton of effort into that kind of stuff.
Anyway, didn't matter. I don't know what he did in Miami. I don't know what routes he took. It doesn't matter how in shape or out of shape you are. Your routes matter, and this dude has no idea where to run to a baseball. But what do I think he's going to sign? I don't know, man. I honestly just have no clue where this man's going to sign because the DH being a question mark in the National League really throws things up in the air, and it really helped Atlanta.
I'm just making the assumption that it will happen, that they will have it.
So if there's
I'm going
definitely a
under that
DH,
assumption that yes, it will
there's
happen.
definitely a DH in St. Louis in the National League. The teams that could do it would obviously be the Braves. You'd see uh who's Miami's DH? Could it be Miami?
So we can talk about that later. I don't think it'll be Miami though.
I don't think it'll be Miami either, but
I
it's
don't
an
think
option,
him and Miami really mesh to begin with.
which is hilarious because I feel like his name is built to play for the Marlins. But
There's something to be said for that. So
I don't know, dude. I got nothing.
I think part of me wants to say that he's going to go back to Atlanta. Part of me thinks that he'll go back because it seemed like watching him play last year, he was having a blast. And I think that him and Acuna got
second in MVP when you hit 18 home runs, 56 RBIs, and have a 1,067 OPS, win your division, and go to the NLCS.
But I think that playing with like guys like Acuna also like high energy. I think him and Ozuna are very similar kind of people. And I could definitely see him. And honestly, the White Sox, I could see that fit too. I think he's definitely going to go somewhere that he can have fun while playing. I think he seems like the kind of guy that's probably pretty important to him.
But will he join Tony La Russa?
Tony La Russa?
Yeah, I guess Atlanta kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah,
If the Cardinals wanted to be stupid, he could go back to St. Louis, but I don't know if he wants to go. I think he'd be okay coming back to St. Louis, but like I don't think it's like how you said like he didn't really dig it in Miami. I think he'd be okay going back to St. Louis, but we'd have to pay him more.
So I mean we've got a lot of offseason to talk about. There are some of these free agents though I do like to talk about. Like I do at times feel like I want to talk about free agents sooner rather than later, just because if they go off the board then we never got to even share a piece about them really.
And then if they go, and then if the big one and then if like someone sets the market, when the market gets set, all of a sudden guys will start flying.
So which is why like I've always had it on our notes to talk about the Marlins and Cardinals off seasons and stuff. And I feel like we do talk about our teams passively and we haven't really talked about them directly. But so I was thinking about this the other day. As a possible free agent, I know the Cardinals are not known for doing a splash, and I mentioned this earlier a little bit. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see if the Cardinals go and sign Justin Turner. Because for the last few years, they've always been kind of rumored to be interested in him.
Yeah.
And they could use a third baseman, move Edman to second, and play Turner at third.
And let Wong walk.
And Turner's 36. You're in a season that's very obvious. You can offer him a 1-year, 2-year deal. I think that's an interesting possibility because the Cardinals have always been interested in Justin Turner. And now you've got an opportunity in a season where you might be able to get him kind of cheaper too. Because, the whole COVID thing, I think is going to impact a lot of these contracts. I think you could get him at a kind of a discount. Maybe not a super big discount because I would imagine the Dodgers are still interested in him. But I think that this is a chance that if you are still as interested as you used to be about him and you don't feel like, Gorman's ready to make an impact bat, which I don't think he is. I mean, he wasn't even talked about coming up this year. So that means that he didn't get any at bats this year. So I think that, I think a guy like Turner could be, I think Turner's a good professional hitter that could be a placeholder until Gorman is ready for the Cardinals. I think that's an interesting.
You talked about the word splash. I don't know if I consider Justin Turner a splash.
It is for the Cardinals, though. I mean, he's ranked 13 on free agents. The Cardinals are more like, I'm going to go sign the ex-closer 5 years ago of the, Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's true. They're definitely more of a trading splash type of team. They don't sign guys. They trade for them.
And most of their signings are terrible.
Holiday, Mark Mulder.
A lot of their signings have been terrible.
Their trades are elite. Their signs are always just god-awful.
Yeah, so I think
trades are always really good.
So I think Justin Turner would be a cool signing for them. I think
Splash. Lindor, DeYoung the third.
That's interesting too. I've heard rumors that the Marlins also are interested in Lindor.
The Lindor and Arenado rumors in St. Louis have been there for 3 years.
That's true.
At both of them. I've always been way bigger fan of the Lindor over Arenado. Don't get me wrong, I used to like Arenado, but I'm over the Arenado hype train.
Arenado's defense is so fun to watch, though. There's no denying that. That dude is a freak.
I like watching middle infielders more, though. But watching him, he's a freak of nature. And the fact that him and Chapman came from the same high school and they played together is hilarious to me. because they're like the two best defenders in the game, and they came from the same high school in the same town, all that stuff. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, Splash is Lindor. A guy the Cardinals are definitely, it looks like they're re-signing with the way it seems to be going, is a man named Yadier Molina. Seems to be the talk that
yeah, I heard that he's got teams interested,
Cardinals.
but that the Cardinals were the very dominant
said
force.
There's 4 teams interested. The Cardinals are running the deal though, and then a weird guy that I was talking to my dad about when I saw that he was a free agent is Trey Mancini from Baltimore. Just another outfield guy that
you know who I jokingly said that is definitely a Cardinals kind of offseason sign.
Did you?
No, a different guy though. I was talking to my dad today about this. I said, you know who's definitely one of those guys that the Cardinals would probably sign in the offseason? And it's Tommy La Stella. That guy has got Cardinals written all over it.
I would love
that guy. That guy has Cardinal signing written all over.
Also, Skip Schumacher, the MLB famous guys that no one cares about.
That's what I'm telling you. That guy is that guy is definition Cardinals offseason sign.
If you're a baseball fan, you know of the Cardinals extra guys in the middle, early, and late. I messed that up. The middle and late 2000s, early 2010s. You know of Greg Garcia, you know of Skip Schumacher, and you know of Daniel Descalso. People know those names. Shut up, Winston. Stop moaning. Did you hear him?
I did not know.
He made a pretty wicked noise to me, but they have guys that Tommy La Stella fits it perfectly, but they won't sign him because they don't need him. They don't need that guy right now. Like they need a splash, and
but that's the kind of signing they make though. Is that the guy they don't need is the guy they sign. They're gonna be like, oh look,
you know what's gonna happen? He's gonna hit a walk-off base hit to move him into the postseason or something, and they're gonna be like, well, it was all worth it. He hit a $140 all year, even though La Stella's way.
As I was scrolling through this list, I did Robbie Ray signed with the Blue Jays. That was a thing that happened. So I felt like we should mention that as well. So the guy that I have been saying all season all off season, the whole couple weeks of it, that I think the Cardinals should get, but I don't think they would, is a Michael Brantley, a 300 hitting outfielder. He's a little older. You could sign him to a 2-year deal, maybe a 1-year deal. He's 34, but he's a 300 hitter. He's a good ball player. I mean, he kind of fits that Cardinal mold of what they want from a player. And I think that would be a good sign for them as well.
It would be crazy having him and Carpenter in the same lineup, which I know Carpenter's bad at baseball, but God, do those two guys just see an unbelievable amount of pitches.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you batted them at the top of your order, the pitcher would be exhausted by the time they got...
Yeah, so you literally hit those three back-to-back-to-back. Like, Carpenter, the last, decade, is him and Michael Brantley and Carlos Santana for the Indians are just by far and away guys that see way more pitches than anyone else in baseball. And Goldschmidt's, 9th. You throw those three guys hitting 1, 2, 3, you're not going to score any runs unless Goldschmidt hits a home run. But, I guess Brantley gets on base. But the amount of pitches you're going to see, DeGrom's going to finish the first inning with 21 pitches and go, what the? I didn't even do anything. I went 1, 2, 3, and I just faced 21 pitches.
You know, another smaller name that I think the Cardinals could go after, Trevor Rosenthal. I could see them bringing him back.
Didn't he sign?
Did he? Did he actually sign? I don't know. This is probably out. This is obviously outdated because Robbie Ray was on there. If he did sign, then I apologize for my terrible knowledge. But I could see Trevor Rosenthal coming back if he did not sign.
He is still a free agent.
Yeah, because I mean he's got some history there. He had a good season. Cardinals love signing bullpen arms. I could see that.
But the thing with that is he's going to make too much money as a bullpen arm. The Cardinals don't spend any money on their bullpen besides lefties that are garbage. Let me finish my statement. I answered your question before. You said Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller's not even the guy. Okay, Andrew Miller's fine.
Brett Cecil.
Who was 5 years
I was getting there. I just let it go after you said lefty. I just let it go.
That guy was 5 years terrible, 1 year good. Carl's $35 million or whatever it was. And I'm like, this guy's not even good, dude. He wears goggles. Nothing wrong with goggles, but he's terrible. And he wears goggles.
It is interesting that I've spent time thinking about this offseason, and I find myself finding people that I feel like are good fits for the Cardinals. And I've been trying to figure out who I think are good fits for the Marlins. And honestly, I've been thinking about it and as boring as it is, and how I just told you that, the Cardinals being boring is something that kind of turned me off to them over time. I think the Marlins really do need to focus on building a bullpen this year because but I think with them there's a reason, and I've got a good reason for it, is the fact that you were good this year because of your young pitching. And everyone knows that your young starting pitching in a 162 game season does not last. It does not typically last. So if you have a good bullpen where you can start those guys, you know, those starts are only 5 or 6 innings for a while, you know, work them out and, you know, limit the innings. They can pitch later into the year and you've still got a shot if you've got a good bullpen. But then I've also been but the real problem the Marlins have is they don't score enough runs. And that's where I'm really torn at what I like. The other problem they have, so this is what's interesting to me. This is I'm bouncing around all over the place, but the thing with the Marlins that I found really interesting is the Marlins offense was what was struggling a lot last year. And that's to be understood. They had all kinds of different guys getting at bats, you know, it was kind of crazy. But looking at their lineup, they don't have a lot of guys that really, you know, scare you. You're not like, wow, look at that, watch out for that guy.
Do they have any guy?
Maybe. But the thing that I thought was interesting is
maybe it doesn't even
they get to the playoffs and the end of the season, and Jorge Alfaro, who is arguably one of their best hitting players, is not playing because they like the way Chad Wallach handles the pitching staff and the catching duties better. So they take out one of their best bats to bat some guy who is a career third string type catcher and play him every single day, which more so is a concern of what's going on with Alfaro. So I came up with this today, and I've decided that I really like this trade for the Marlins. I think they should go after Salvador Perez with the Royals. He's in the last year of his deal. The Royals, after a COVID season, are probably looking to cut some contract. They're probably not thinking they're going to get him back. Salvador Perez to the Marlins is something I'd like to see.
That's big time, dude. He's like the best catcher in baseball.
That would be awesome. He's like 30 still too. So
I think he is the best catcher in baseball.
I mean, that would be awesome. You've got a guy with World Series experience. He can handle a pitching staff. He can field. He can hit.
He's got like 6 gold gloves.
Salvador Perez. Trade for Salvador Perez is what I want the Marlins to do.
That'd be your
because I don't think the Royals would want that much for it either, because they're not going to be able to re-sign him with the COVID season too. The teams like the Royals have no money. The other thing is, so I did a little research about my Marlins. So I had mentioned this, I believe, in the first episode. So the Marlins are getting a new TV contract next year.
Yeah.
Their old contract was less than $20 million. Their new contract will be $50+ million. There's some money there. Wei-Yin Chen comes off the books this year. They paid him $22 million last year. Wei-Yin Chen, good God, what a terrible signing. But that money is coming off the books now too. So you're talking a good amount of money coming off the Marlins books right after they make the postseason. They're going to want to make, you would think that they'd want to, drive off this momentum. So I think a Salvador Perez would be awesome. I'm a buyer on anybody that wants to sign Michael Brantley. I'm all for it. So if they want to sign Michael Brantley, I'm all for it. Another big possible splash that I think would be awesome for the Marlins this season? Yasiel Puig. That dude would probably sign to next to a league minimum contract, and you could give him an opportunity to play again. He's got I think he'd have a good fan base down in Miami. He's kind of an exciting.
Kids, though?
I don't care what he does. Yasiel Puig is a stud. And it's a shame that he's not on any team. I would love.
Well, he was on a team and then he got COVID.
No, he was. He didn't get signed.
I know.
So he didn't play. I think that the Marlins could get Puig for very, very cheap. And then you've got a potential 25 home run guy right in the middle of your lineup. So, and right now the problem that they're struggling with is Garrett Cooper, Jesus Aguilar, and maybe Alfaro now too, if you don't trust him to be your catcher. You've got 3 guys that aren't real good defensively and are 3 of your biggest bats. So it's like, what are you going to do with all these guys? And the problem I had with the Marlins last year even though they made the playoffs, is Matt Joyce was playing just about every day. Matt Joyce is not an everyday major league player. You need to do something about that. Starling Marte being healthy, big deal. Corey Dickerson.
Matt Joyce being healthy.
Corey Dickerson, professional outfielder, not the best, but you signed him, so I could see playing him. So if you could add an outfielder and you could add a catcher, so if you added Yasiel Puig and Salvador Perez and then signed me a couple bullpen arms, I would be a happy camper. I would be very, very happy with that offseason.
Question.
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many years that contract is?
For who?
The Marlins? The TV?
I do not know.
Because I'm intrigued. The Cardinals contract, do you know how much the Cardinals contract is?
I don't.
For the TV?
No, I don't.
$1.1 billion.
So that's because no one watches the Marlins.
But it's for 15 years.
Gotcha.
So it's 2032. It began in 2018. I couldn't find the deal that you're talking about.
Yeah, I heard about the deal. I don't know the specifics to it though.
Yeah, it's 1.1 billion with a 30% equity stake in the network as well, in Fox Sports Midwest. So now they own 30% of Fox Sports Midwest. But
wow.
So I'm just interested in the year to year. It's obviously not going to be Cardinal money year to year, but I'm just intrigued what the is 50 million for 2021, or is that for?
I want to say it's for 2021.
I'd hope it's 2021 because the Cardinals 15. Let me do some math real fast. If I do some math, I mean type it out. So let's see.
So I think that there is.
Sorry, it's full muted.
Yeah,
$73 million a year.
There you go. So that's pretty. I mean, plus. So that would make sense. It would make sense.
Yeah, say if it's $50 million 2 years, that's a concerning number for me. But I guess going into the year, they were only making $20 million.
Right.
For last year. So actually 2 years, $50 million is actually a nice pay increase for those boys.
Yeah. So I do think that, we're getting at almost an hour here just in baseball, but
yeah, we'll probably just go to the NFL and just hit with our pickems.
Yeah, I mean that's basically all we do anyways. It gets us to talk about the different stuff anyways. So, but just the one thing that I have noticed as I scroll through as I'm interested, there are a lot of middle of the road starting pitchers that are pretty decent available this year. So I think it'll be interesting to see where these chips all land and how much they cost, because I think that's the thing is the Marlins have a lot of good young pitching, but if you can get a couple veteran arms for the back end of that rotation cheap, why not? I mean, why not? Why not do it? So that's kind of the plot twist to this season is if people are the right price, teams might just say, well, why not? And then you might see some. So that'll be what's interesting here. So we will skip on over to the NFL, and I'm gonna talk about myself here.
My random exiting out of MLB tabs.
Yeah.
Marcell Ozuna stolen 18 bases in his career. If you take out his last season in St. Louis, in his last season in St. Louis, he stole 12.
Well, there you go. All right. So, in my fantasy football league, I completed the trade.
Yes.
Tyler Lockett.
Yes.
Dallas Goedert.
Yes.
And Devontae Parker. And I got DeAndre Hopkins in the Ravens defense. So, this is the third trade I've completed in this league. This year. All three trades. The entire league, other than the people I traded with, have blown up and told me I'm ripping everybody off. I mean, they have been heated at all of my trades.
So why haven't they denied them?
Because not enough. We do have a veto, but it's a majority of the league, and there's not a majority that actually vetoes it. There's several people that disagree with it, but believe you should be able to do whatever you want with your team. So they're like, man, that's a stupid trade, but I think teams should be.
That's kind of how I was unless it was obvious they're just winning the league.
So, but this is the part that I think is very important for anybody that's a fantasy player out there. So the way I draft in this league was I drafted a very, very deep team. I had very good running backs on paper on my bench that would be starters on other teams. Other teams all ran after the wide receivers. And my approach was, as the season moved on, I found the teams that were struggling and went after a big name and gave them several lesser names to fill in their rosters. So that's kind of what happened here with this Hopkins trade. So the person I traded was like 3-6 with the lowest points scored in the league. So Hopkins is not helping them win. Hopkins is a great player, but they're not winning with them. So I offered them 3 players that would be in their starting lineup for a defense and a really good player for me. It made my team a lot better, but their team got a lot better too. And we are a league that 7 out of 10 teams makes the playoffs. So a 3-6 team, if they turn it around here in these last few weeks, could make the playoffs and now has a shot at money because they put their team in a situation to win. So to me, I think it's a pretty fair trade. I'm offering them decent players, several decent players, to get back basically one player. Because it's like, if Hopkins gets hurt, that entire trade is a bust to me. But if someone of their trade gets hurt, well, they've still got a couple other players that are in their lineup. And that's kind of how all of my trades have worked. And I took heat on all 3 of them, and I needed to vent that. I don't try to rip anybody off. I have no fun with that. I traded Chris Carson for Tyreek Hill straight up. Chris Carson was the number 5 running back. Tyreek Hill was the number 5 wide receiver at the time. Chris Carson got hurt the next game he played. and so I looked like a genius, but everyone gave me trouble for that. You don't trade Tyreek Hill. You don't trade Tyreek Hill. The guy I traded him to had David Johnson as his number 1 running back.
I think
he had Chris Godwin as his other wide receiver. So he needed a running back, and I wanted a wide receiver. It was very fair. I took heat for that one. The trade that at the start of the year that really made me mad, I traded Noah Fant and who was it? Noah Fant and DJ Chark for Juju Smith and Dallas Goedert. I took so much heat for that trade. They were screaming for vetoes on that trade because Juju's a god. Well, guess what? Dallas Goedert's been hurt the whole year, and Juju Smith doesn't even know how to play football. So don't get me wrong. Juju's actually been really good these last 3 weeks. He's got like 20 receptions in the last 3 weeks.
I was gonna say he's like 12.
He's got like 25 receptions. It's like 25 receptions in the last 3 weeks. So he's been doing something, but
he's got more touchdowns than
at the time, I mean, Juju was a huge question mark at the start of this year when this trade happened because he was terrible last year and no one knew if Big Ben was actually healthy this year. And Dallas Goedert was the number 2 tight end on his team, but it always put up points. Going into this year, DJ Chark had huge upside. Now he's been hurt a lot this year, and Noah Fant was supposed to be a breakout candidate tight end. Basically, that trade that I took hours of heat for, nobody won because all 4 players suck. I mean, it was unbelievable and very frustrating. But
I'm into the trade that you just did. That on a team that's having problems, I think he won that trade.
It was actually a girl, surprisingly.
I think she won that trade on a team that's having problems. I mean, that's 2 good receivers for 1 really good receiver. But like,
and technically, Lockett has more fantasy points this year than Hopkins.
Does he really?
Yeah, Lockett is the number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football because he's got a 60-point game and a 30-point game. He had like 260 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game.
Oh, he's got 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that's actually like not the best trade for you.
But it was because Dallas got
a good defense too.
Well, so I've been waiver wiring defenses every week. And it has worked out for me because I've picked good matchups. Obviously. But Devontae Parker's never left my bench. And Dallas Goedert's been hurt the whole year, and I have Hunter Henry starting. So Hunter Henry's fine as a tight end. Parker's never played in my lineup, and I increased a defense. So for me, the players I gave up were depth.
This is a fine trade.
I traded depth on my team to get a starting player. But for them, they got 3 starting players.
Yeah, I don't know about Dallas Goedert, honestly, but I do know
the Eagles have no one to throw to.
A team that's struggling could easily use, obviously, Lockett and Cooper. And they said Lockett and Hopkins, like Hopkins just has that bigger upside. So I don't really know how great of a trade that was for you, considering you lost a guy who just has almost as many fantasy points, but is more Hopkins is more consistent week to week.
So, and that's actually why I wanted to do the trade. So the big struggle I've had every week is that my team either booms or bust as a whole. So I either blow up and score the most or second most points of anyone in the league, or I score like 70 points. And so I kind of just needed a couple guys to just steady give me points. And now that Christian McCaffrey is hurt again, having Hopkins, I mean, this is the thing. This is my team on paper as of right now. I have Justin Herbert at quarterback. I should have McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs. I have Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Hopkins. Hunter Henry. I have Galladay, who's also been hurt most of the season. I have Juju. I have now the Ravens defense. I mean, I've got players. I have Kenyon Drake, who was supposed to be really good. On paper, my team should not lose a game.
I was never big into the Kenyon Drake thing.
But he was really good for Arizona at the end of last year.
I know. But
and so that's, but I also drafted, I went McCaffrey, Carson, or I went McCaffrey, Jacobs, Carson, Drake. So McCaffrey, Jacobs, Carson, and then I got Drake. Well, actually, no, because I drafted Galladay in there somewhere too. But so Drake was like a 5th or 6th round pick, and he was.
Galladay over Lockett?
I did.
Nice.
I drafted Lockett in the 4th round. I drafted Galladay in the 2nd. So I went McCaffrey off the start. When I came back, I went Galladay, Jacobs. So you could argue
your league's a bunch of idiots because Josh Jacobs at the 3rd round.
Well, I guess technically the end of the 2nd round. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Those because I was on the end, so I grabbed Jacobs. He's terrible this year, honestly.
I know,
but it's heartbreaking.
But you can't tell that.
No. On paper,
a 1st round back in most leagues.
And Chris Carson was a stud to start the year. He was like 30 points every week to start the year.
Last year.
Yeah, he's consistently a stud. That guy is nuts.
Like every other touch in his first 4 weeks last year, he would have been argued like the top 4 back, and he might have even been a top 4
right
back.
He's
Besides,
a stud.
Obviously Henry and McCaffrey were.
Yeah, he's a stud, and it just didn't work out. But I had arguably on paper the best team in my opinion, and it didn't work out.
Who was your quarterback?
It was Big Ben. So I felt fine with Big Ben, and Big Ben's been steady this year. He's 20-25 points every week. So, and then I eventually just took the flyer on Herbert, who's 30-something points every week, and that's working out great for me. But now really my strategy at this point was I wanted to trade all of my depth and go all in to make the absolute best starting lineup I could heading into playoffs. That was kind of the strategy, was get rid of the depth, get the best studs in my lineup as possible, and just hope for the best. If they get hurt, they get hurt. If I lose in the playoffs, I lose in the playoffs. But I'm going to put the best lineup every week in the playoffs and hope for the best. That was my strategy. I have like nobody left on my bench. My bench is much weaker than it ever was the whole season, but I'm ready to go all in for playoffs, and that was the strategy because this is the trade deadline this week. So I had to make a deal happen. That's what we went for. So the update on the Pickems. Logan, 9 games correctly to put him at 17. I dropped another 11, so I'm at 22. I am apparently a stud at Pickem challenges.
Yeah, we need to start betting on it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. If I start betting, I'm going to have to bet the opposite of what I pick in here, and they'll just counter each other, and somewhere I'll be right. All right, so I'm looking at starting at tomorrow's game, the Colts at the Titans. To me, this seems like despite the fact that the Colts are 5-3 and the Titans are 6-2, I actually don't think that this is all even of a game, personally. I don't know. I don't like the Colts. I don't even know how they're 5-3, and I think I said this last week too. I don't understand their team.
They were 5-2 last week.
There you go. So I was right, sort of, I guess you could say. I am not a big buyer on the Colts. I think the Colts have a lot of issues, and I think Tennessee's a much stronger team. I'm going to go Tennessee in the Thursday night football game.
I'm going to Titans too.
I figured you did. You are a big Titans guy.
Well, you do realize that I predicted last year in the postseason that the Titans were going to take down the Patriots and the Ravens.
I'm not a buyer in Phillip Rivers, and I'm not a buyer in this weird backfield situation where they've got like 3 different running backs now instead of using their best back.
Yeah, so they're just using Marlon Mack every play. What are they doing, dude? Anyways, whatever.
All right, so He's not.
I'm pretty sure he's hurt. After
Jonathan Taylor is their rookie running back who was doing pretty well, and they basically just gave up on him. Like now they've got 3 guys running, and it's like, all right, this guy was doing pretty well. Why did you just stop using him?
Out of Wisconsin.
And it's frustrating because he's in my bench. So, anyways, all right, the Texans at the Browns. So the Texans are 2-6, and the Browns are 5-3. This is a tough one though, because I think the Browns are trending in the wrong direction now too.
Texans.
You think Texans? Ooh, you're getting feisty today, aren't you?
Nice of the Titans.
All right, so you're saying Houston beats the Browns. Why do you think that?
Well, because Houston's going the right way. Baker Mayfield almost just got COVID, but I guess he's back. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Texans are going the right way.
Nick Chubb, I believe, is coming back this week for the Browns, though.
Ooh, that's actually big time. I didn't know that. I'm still going to
go the Texans. So they'll have Chubb and Hunt.
Just to go for the upset, I'm going for the Texans. Deshaun Watson's going to have a nice game.
Deshaun Watson's a stud. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien ruined his career, dude. That dude.
He's been a stud since changing coaches.
He was a stud before changing.
I know, but he's been real good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the upset. I'm not a believer in the Browns.
I think with the Browns, if they have Hunt and Chubb this week, I think the Browns are going to pull it out. I don't think it's going to be a very interesting game, but I think the Browns. I think the Browns can win.
Do is interesting.
No, that's true, but I think the Browns will play just well enough to win that game. This game would have been 100% more interesting if Christian McCaffrey were playing. Tampa Bay at Carolina. So we both projected Kansas City beating the Panthers last week, and holy cow, were we almost wrong. A missed field goal at the end of the game by the Panthers. They lose. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it was a far field goal. It was by no means a routine field goal they missed. But that's how close that game ended up being, and I didn't think it was going to be close. That's how big of a difference McCaffrey makes in that lineup. So McCaffrey is doubtful for that game. Buccaneers.
So he's out.
I saw doubtful earlier. Is he officially out now?
I think they've changed it.
Well, either way, doubtful's usually out.
He's going to see a surgeon.
Oh, that's not good.
On his shoulder.
Anywho, all right. So Buccaneers at Panthers. I think the Bucs defense is just too good for this Panthers team without McCaffrey. Yeah, I think the Bucs are gonna have to come show out too. Yeah,
just roll.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm definitely gonna agree with you on that one, and I just don't think the Panthers without McCaffrey are all that threatening of a team.
I think the Bucs got rolled and they're embarrassed and they're going to dominate. Yeah, the Panthers need McCaffrey to take away 4 defenders on every play. It's no longer double coverage. That dude gets quadruple coverage.
Well, and the difference is like when you double cover a running back, those are typically guys that are able to rush the quarterback. So it's like now your quarterback's not getting any pressure because they're afraid you're going to dump it to McCaffrey and he's going to bust one out. So this is another one of these games. This is where your record is decided and lost. The Eagles at the Giants.
Yeah, there's 2 games in a row we're about to find out here.
My list probably is different than yours.
I got Washington and Detroit too.
My next one is the Jaguars at Packers, but
okay.
So that I knew what you were talking about though. So the Eagles at the Giants. Eagles coming off their bye. They're 3-4-1, and the Giants are 2-7. The Giants defense is impressive despite the fact that their team sucks and their offense is never on the field.
And they turn it over every other play.
But I think the Eagles still have they still have a couple guys on offense, I think, that have a shot here. And I don't trust the Giants offense to score ever. So I'm going to go with the Eagles at this game.
So the Eagles barely beat the Giants last time. And you said you're going Eagles?
I am.
So this is going to be one I'm going to have to do different.
He's going to try and pick up the game. He's going to try and pick up the game.
Giants.
Anytime they could go both ways. This is a good time to pick.
Giants are at home. And
I could see that. I think at home is a struggle this year, though. I don't know that it makes as much of a difference.
Because everyone who walks into that stadium gets hurt, dude. Carson Wentz about to tear an ACL.
What else is new? All right, so the Jaguars at the Packers, and now I'm looking at this. I honestly didn't even realize the Jaguars were 1-7.
Yeah, they won week 1.
Yeah, they're playing the Packers, who are 6-2.
And
I want to say that this seems very obvious that the Packers are going to win this one. I can't imagine you're going to bet the upset here. So I don't even know if it needs any analysis.
Packers.
All right, so now on to this next one. I mean, you gotta pick your team, don't you? The
Oh,
Washington.
actually, going back to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty awesome interview. I don't know if it was like this week or if it was last week, where they said, uh, "You're playing on like Sunday night or something soon. Are you excited for that?" He's like, "You play well on Sunday night. You should see your stats." And then Aaron Rodgers' response on this podcast was, "Man, I play well on Thursday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights, Sunday days. I don't care, dude. I just play well all the time." And the podcast guys loved it, and so did I. I thought it was an awesome response. And Packers by 1,000,000.
Wow, you're gonna lose that one.
I know.
All right, so the Washington Football Club, or whatever the hell they're called, the Washington soccer team versus the Lions. I mean, are you gonna stick with your Lions as they lose again?
So here's the thing: is I chose the Redskins to win the East after like 5 weeks. I was like, screw it, I'm going Redskins. Last week, these teams costed me 2 games. I'm gonna go Lions. I have to. I've committed.
So another big question mark to this game is Galladay is questionable on my bench. I would love to start him. But he's questionable. I'm not sure what to think about that. I don't know. I don't trust Washington's offense. I have Antonio I have Gibson
Alex
starting.
Smith.
The worst part about Gibson is that McKissick keeps stealing all of his points.
What about McLaurin?
No, McKissick, the other running back. McLaurin is absolutely a stud. That dude is insane. But I think that this is a game the Lions don't lose. I don't think
Smith.
Although the Washington Redskins defense, or the Washington, sorry, not the Redskins, Washington soccer team is just, I don't think they're good enough. All right. This is a nice little matchup. The Broncos lost us both a game last week. Both picked the Broncos to win last week. And they're playing the Raiders.
I'm going Oakland, aka Vegas.
Yeah, I think I'm a little butthurt out after Denver lost last week. Because
after Drew Lock went 6 weeks between throwing a touchdown, and then he threw 3 touchdowns, and last week he didn't throw a touchdown. I'm gonna go with he's not gonna throw another touchdown for 4 or 5 more weeks, so we're just gonna go with that.
Yeah, I think I'm also gonna go Raiders here. I think the Raiders are gonna kick it into high gear here as they
6-3 if they win this. That's big time.
Yeah, they wanna push here to be a solid contender. So
the best they can do is a 5 seed behind the Chiefs.
This is a very interesting matchup. The Chargers at the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins team is playing around good defense. The Chargers team is playing around tremendous offense with a terrible defense. This game could end up going either way.
100%. Justin Herbert makes every game go either way.
I agree. The Chargers just can't close out any games.
Yeah, he puts them in positions of games they should no longer even come close to winning, and then he also put them in a position, I think, in only one game where they probably should have won, and then he played bad, but that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a stud for my fantasy team. I was a little concerned about this matchup, actually, just because of the defense of the Dolphins, but Herbert has not been a turnover machine, so I'm still not that worried about him fantasy-wise. But I think that the Dolphins do win here. I even though I'm a Chargers fan,
on their coach.
Even though I'm a Chargers fan, I think defense wins games more often than not in these close matchups. And the fact that the Chargers just have no defense makes things.
And they traded Desmond King, who got a pick six in his first quarter with another team.
This next matchup is
Dolphins, dude. As you know, I love their coach. I think they have arguably the best coach in the NFL right now. I know that sounds crazy, but after what he did last year, I love him, and good for them. Anyways,
Bills at Cardinals.
This might be the game. This might be the game of the week.
This is going to be a good one.
This is going to be a good one.
I think this will be a very good game. You've got two very good offenses, and the Bills' defense hasn't been great this year, but you know that they can be good. So, I mean, this is a really tough one. You got two quarterbacks that are actually very similar.
They haven't played in 4 years.
This is gonna be. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure who I like here right now.
Dude, I got no clue. Josh Allen was the best player in the NFL last week. Period.
So that means he's due to suck.
Arizona missed a 49-yard field goal short.
But DeAndre Hopkins was a no-show last week. Does that mean he goes off this week?
But the thing with that is their kicker missed a 49-yard field goal short. This is 2020. Kickers kick 60s on warm-ups all day. I've never seen that. That is bizarre.
It is. That is weird. You almost never see short field goals.
No, never. The only time you ever see short field goals is when you're kicking like a 62 going into the halftime. It was baffling. I can't get over. I know it's only kicking, and I used to be a kicker, and I used to be a damn good kicker back in the day. But like, I can't believe no one's talking about it because of how terrible it was. A 49-yard field goal for an NFL kicker, and he missed it short. That
is very rough.
That's like a huge news to me. Like, you lost the game because you can't make it.
This is interesting too. According to this little Google search here, that Arizona is favored to win this game.
Yes, they are. I saw that.
But part of me thinks Buffalo is going to win this game. I'm going to pick Buffalo. I think Buffalo wins this game. I think Buffalo has the better defense, and like I said earlier, I think the better defense wins these close games.
I think Arizona has the better defense, but I just think Josh Allen was really good, went into a slump, and was unbelievable last week, and the best player in the NFL, and I think they'll be really good. I actually don't think Buffalo's a good defense at all.
They were last year.
Last year they were good. Yeah, this year they're ranked 25th in the league.
Yeah, they struggled. They've struggled this year, but it's basically the same defense.
That's yards, so
same defense. All right.
Yeah, you're right.
49ers. The 49ers versus the Saints. I don't think the 49ers have anybody left to play, so I'm going to say the Saints.
I'm going to say the same reason. Unless the Niners can prove. I mean, the injury bowl is who the two teams that are hurt more than anyone else? The Niners and the Broncos. Yeah, Niners and Broncos, I'm pretty sure, are like dying. Have them meet in the injury bowl, Super Bowl. Just go from there.
Yeah. All right, we've got Bengals at Steelers.
I love Joe Burrow, but I can't do it. Especially after the Steelers almost crapped the bed. They're probably going to come out and mow.
I think the Steelers are due to lose.
I agree they're due to lose too, but they were due to lose last week, and they got lucky. They're going to come out a little different this week going, well, we can't do that, and then they'll probably lose next, like the week or two. But I'm going Steelers.
Hot take, I'm going Bengals.
Hell yeah, I love it, dog.
Hot take, going Bengals. I'm hoping
I lose that because I like Joe Burrow, but I just think because last week's game against the Cowboys was so close, it's gonna say, well, we can't take this other bad team as an easy dub. You know?
I think Joe Burrow's good enough to put up the points. They've got running backs. They've got, I don't know. I think I can just see it. I can see this being the game. I think that teams don't go undefeated, so
I agree, but I just don't think that.
I think this will be a loss. Seahawks at the Rams. This is an interesting game. They have the Rams favored to win.
Do they really?
They do. They have the Rams favored to win this game. The Seahawks are 6-2. The Rams are 5-3. The Rams are obviously the better defensive team. The Seahawks are obviously the better offensive team.
In yards, it's only barely, but in points, I believe it's by a lot.
Oh, I know in fantasy, there's hardly anyone worth having on the Rams.
So the Dolphins just beat the Rams.
They did because of Goff turning the ball over 800 times.
Oh, yeah, that was the game 2 weeks ago. So the Rams are off a bye, and Seattle just lost to Buffalo. Yeah.
My gut says the Seahawks win this game, but now that I'm seeing that the Rams are favored, I'm a little torn now.
Well, I'm not going to wait for you to pick, and I'm just going to go with I'm still going to consider it an upset and say the Los Angeles Rams are going to beat the Seattle Snorkelers.
I go with the Seahawks then. Let's have a differentiating game there.
Seattle's a better team. I just think they're going to win.
Ravens at Patriots.
Ravens?
I agree. Patriots are just terrible. They're just awful.
And we all know what I'm doing for the last game of the week.
Because, I mean, can you actually bet against me still? Can you bet against me still as my Vikings go 4-5 after this week?
I'm all aboard the Bears down train.
That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying. You can't bet against me at this point. The Vikings have won both games since we started this podcast.
Yeah, you said the Vikings were going to be good. That's the Bears are going to be bad, and we're both right. Now imagine the Bears beat the Vikings, lols. But I'm going, oh no. Kirk Cousins on Monday night.
Uh-oh. Well, he could just hand it to he can just hand it to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook can beat the Bears alone.
I'm still gonna go with it, even though I don't.
The Bears are so bad that Tennessee played awful against them and was killing them.
I think the Bears might be like the worst 5-2 team in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So that is the full length of games for this week. We will see. I am in the lead by 5. So
the Bears are really good at rushing the ball.
No,
that's not. Hilarious. They're the worst rushing team in the NFL, and they're 13th in passing. You'd think all their Bears, their problems would be with passing.
It's their offensive line that's terrible.
Yeah, and their coach.
Probably that.
Yeah, he's terrible.
All right. So, are there any other statements about the NFL you'd like to make before we?
I still can't believe we're this far in all the sports world seasons. Yeah, the Bears have lost 3 in a row, and I think they were 5-1. So I'm gonna go with the 4 in a row. Well, the Titans only beat them by 7. The Saints only beat them by 3.
The Titans only beat them by 7, but the Titans were up huge and played terrible. Like Derrick Henry had like 30 yards on 12 rushes to start the game.
What do I need to say? That's not good. 30 yards on 12 rushes?
Yeah, that's to start. That's what I'm saying. And Tennessee was beating like 17-3.
Oh, okay.
Tennessee was beating like 17-3.
Sure. Chubb is not sure he's going to play. McCaffrey to miss Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, dude. What do I think of the NFL? I'm thinking jump all aboard the Miami Dolphins bandwagon the next couple years.
Miami sports this year. Florida sports in 2020.
I'm also all aboard everybody in the NFL needs to tank for Trevor Lawrence, and then when the Jets get the number 1, he either goes back to college or someone trades for that number 1 pick.
Or Jets.
Who's going to go play for Adam Gase, dude?
Jets.
That dude's going to walk in there a bigger leader than Adam Gase ever was. So all aboard the Dolphins hype train, all aboard the Bears down train. Let's do this.
All right. So we had discussed maybe not talking about Overwatch League this week, especially because we had so much to say about other sports. Here we are. A lot of stuff happened in Overwatch League free agency. A lot of Dallas Fuel things happened. So the Fuel
making massive moves.
Psych. So Dallas went ahead and got Fearless from the Shanghai Dragons, which I think is huge because Shanghai was so good last year. And the reports were that basically Dallas called Shanghai and said, "What do you want for Fearless?" Shanghai said, "We don't." And then they talked to Fearless, and Fearless was like, "No, I kind of want to go play for Dallas." And apparently other teams had heard, "Oh, well, Fearless is available." And they offered more than Dallas did, but Shanghai respected what Fearless wanted and sent him to Dallas anyway. So
I think Castro is a winner.
I think your former Outlaws Jexy is now a Dallas Fuel member as well. He's a support player, another Element Mystic type guy. Muse signs with the Gladiators. Shu signs with the Gladiators. Fury leaves the Fusion. And Kariv signs with the Charge.
Oh, Kariv signed with Guangzhou? That's
yeah. And Jerry signed with Washington. Oh, gotta love you some Jerry. Jerry is terrible, though. I think
Boston.
the big person that became a free agent in my mind, uh, it was when what I can blank on the team name. The Charge, they released some of their players. Happy being one of them, and Happy is regarded as one of the best hit scan DPS in the game. The plot twist to Happy, he played like a month with Element Mystic. So could Happy find himself a Dallas Fuel hit scan player, or does Dallas find Exy on their team because Paris doesn't want to pay him? Both of them elite carry potential.
Or does Houston just not even put out a roster this year?
Ooh, plot twist. But Fury being available came out today, I believe. So the Fusion let Fury go, and Fury's a stud.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting play as well. I guess
is Poco a free agent?
Poco is not, as far as I know. That they got Mano, and I guess they want to play at a different pace this year, and that's why they let Fury. So they're trying to play at a different pace.
Something. I mean, they're not winning anything. They're like,
right. They're really good, but not winning. Right, and that's how they've been for a while. So
well, I know. So that's why it's like official. Like
the non-Overwatch League little bit of news that did come out recently is that BlizzCon will be in February, and BlizzCon will be free to everyone this year, so you won't have to pay to see the extra stuff. And there should be there will be a Overwatch 2 announcement. And the rumor on the street is after the Overwatch 2 announcement, they're going to make the announcement for a mobile Overwatch game. And the plot twist to that, we did talk about Overwatch being a mobile game would be kind of weird and complicated. But I've heard reports that it may not be a first-person shooter. It may be a Overwatch like a game that takes place in the Overwatch world, but it's not a shooter. So that could be interesting. I'm not 100% sure what that looked like. I actually did see somebody say that they would love to see a Overwatch Clash of Clans style game. And love me some Clash of Clans. So I'd be all for something like that. I don't know how it would work, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All for another Clash of Clans style. But that's just kind of the non-Overwatch League news that has been out. The main topic of Overwatch League that we kind of discussed talking about, kind of hand in hand here. So I saw once again, you keep seeing it everywhere. There was someone posted something about an esport, and someone commented underneath and said something about Overwatch League, and then someone replied, Overwatch League is dead, and it got like 200 likes on it. Apparently, the entire esports community thinks that Overwatch League is dead. And I'm torn on that idea of Overwatch League being dead. So we did look it up before the podcast. I believe it was, a 38% increase? So yeah. The grand finals this year had a 38% increase in viewership over the 2019 season. We did discuss the fact that I think because NA played against the Asian teams, that was a big part of why you had such large viewership. You had basically the entire world care about viewership instead of just one market or another. So I think that that's a big play in why that happened. I think that it's also
Shanghai would have made it.
I think that's the direction that Overwatch League needs to go. They need to separate themselves, kind of like how baseball has a National League and American League. You know, everybody, every sport has that kind of two different conferences, two different leagues, whatever. Overwatch League needs to keep doing that. NA teams play NA teams, let the other side play the other side, and then they meet in some kind of playoff bracket style thing later on in the season. You get your entire community to watch these playoff style brackets. And then you don't have to worry about, if we have to stay virtual for a while, you don't have to worry about ping as much. That was kind of the issue this year. And it does still happen as some of these Korean players are playing for the NA teams in Korea, which is rough. It's rough for those players. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes into next year. But the topic of Overwatch League dying is the idea that seems to be very common. I think it's interesting though, because I've noticed that in all video games, if someone stops playing a game, the game they quit playing is now dying. If I quit playing Fortnite, Fortnite's now dying. I quit playing Call of Duty, I say Call of Duty is now dying. Like, that's kind of the common thing that goes across video
I got
games.
A question for you.
Yes.
Did the Dallas Empire go on Jimmy Fallon?
No.
But did a San Francisco Shock player go on Jimmy Fallon?
He did. They did twice.
Did
twice.
Do it last year too?
Twice, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of people talking about how Call of Duty's dead. Right. But I hear literally anytime anyone mentions Overwatch, it's Overwatch is dead. No one cares. Overwatch was in the best spot. It's been in a great spot for a long time. Ever since we went back, except when May was meta, because just God, playing against May or watching it is boring. It's been a really balanced and good game to watch. And in my opinion, as someone who does not watch every esport, but I do watch a good amount of sports and esports, the broadcast that the North American, English version has for Overwatch is way better
top tier
Call of Duty
situation.
CS:GO.
And they put
good. It's
their team puts in a lot of effort. They do these side shows, they do these intermissions. Like, they really put a lot of effort into everything they do.
They got a couple of good guys, and that's what it took. They got a couple of good guys. They stole one of the Call of Duty guys to be like the good going guy, and then they just did a really good job of finding
ex-players,
right talent. They got a girl that they have, which it looks like Call of Duty keeps just like cycling because they can't find one that it can stick, and Zoe is just killing it. That's her name, right? Zoe, right? Yeah, she's killing it. Bren does a good job. I like listening to him. They got Reinforce's power rankings. They're all streamers.
They have Custa, who was an ex-pro. They have Jake, who's an ex-pro.
They have Jake, who's an ex-pro and incredibly handsome. So
and Jake was he was the scump of Overwatch League. He was the most popular guy.
Yeah.
When this all started.
And he's also incredibly handsome.
True. Best looking dude.
As a straight man.
Best looking dude. Absolutely.
Yeah. But they got it going on, dude. And so the people want to say it's dying. Like, the viewership looked good. I watched everything. Literally, I would go back and try to watch North American games live if I could. And if I couldn't, I rewatched them. I watched so much Overwatch when it came to the actual matches. I didn't really watch too much in the middle of it. But now that the season's over, I've been watching all the Overwatch League videos. Jason posted a video in chat saying, "Logan, have you seen this?" And I don't think I responded with yes. I think I just watched it and was like, it was sick or something like that. But yeah, I'd seen it because I've been watching all that stuff like the second they drop it. So I'm addicted. I'm not really addicted to playing it. I do very much enjoy playing Overwatch.
I do really like playing
Overwatch League and their broadcast. I mean, I love it. It's amazing. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining.
Well, some might say that I impulsively buy video games and things for video games, and that really some might say that. Some people whose face might be right next to mine might say that I impulsively buy things. That'd be you.
And everybody who knows
so that's a big factor in why I don't grind Overwatch. I love playing it. But when it comes to video games, I have ADHD like crazy. I hop from game to game to game like crazy. But I love Overwatch at its core, and I love to come back to it all the time. And the community for Overwatch is so toxic. I think that's the worst part about Overwatch is you go on Twitter, you watch these people that stream, you watch these people that post YouTube videos, and 90% of them, all they do is complain the entire time. And it's like all you're doing is creating people that don't want to play your game, people that don't want to watch your esport. And it's like, it's not that bad. Everyone's complaining that like right now, I guess, so the new patch came out. And everyone's like, oh, look, Overwatch is like, oh, hey, we got a really well-balanced game. Well, let's put Brig back into it. And so everyone says that, like, Brig is super broken and she breaks the game and this and that. And it's like, for your casual players, Brig does not break the game.
No.
I understand at the top end, I could see that. But there's also people saying that It's like they're like, oh, the people that shouldn't be in the game at all are Brig. I don't remember them all, but Widowmaker keeps finding herself in the conversation that people think Widowmaker is an awful character who needs to be changed. How is having a strong sniper need to be changed? It takes tremendous skill to be very, very good at Widowmaker. I'm sorry that you're getting sniped, but that person's really freaking good if they're making a difference. Because if you can't hit your shots, you are completely useless as Widowmaker. You are completely useless if you're garbage. It's outrageous. If the community would just have fun with the game and stop taking it so seriously, I think the game would thrive. And there's a lot of people that I've seen that say Overwatch is a great game if you'd remove ranked play.
I disagree.
I love playing ranked, but I always do find myself by the end of ranked play hating my life.
Well, the issue with this is Overwatch is so different than a game like, let's say, COD casually. Because if I go into a game of Call of Duty and I feel like trying my ass off in a public match, I could do that and still dominate the game. I might lose the game,
But
I can still have fun and dominate the game. If I'm playing Overwatch and I have 2 of the 6 guys on my team completely lost or just not that good at the game, and I'm not that good, but whatever, not that good at the game, and the other 6 on the other team are all like okay to good players, you're gonna get rolled, and it's not even fun because you just get smoked, and you can't make a difference, and it's so hard to be that one guy that makes a difference. And so that's kind of the difference between Call of Duty and like you can go into Call of Duty, you can play a bunch of different game modes and do whatever you want, and everyone relax. But in Overwatch, you have to play as a team. If you don't play as a team, you get rolled, and that's what makes it suck to some people. And the fact that you can go on and Call of Duty and relax and play team deathmatch and just team kill everybody. But in Overwatch, you always have to play as a team.
I think the biggest mindset change for me when I played Overwatch consistently and when I play it now is I don't care as much about winning. Like I'm trying to win, but mostly I'm trying to feel like I played a good game. Like I want to look at my stats and afterwards be like, you know what? I played pretty well. You know, my shot was pretty good. I made good decisions. Yeah, or I feel like I'm getting better.
Yeah,
like I feel like my positioning was not great that game, so I need to work on that. Like that's where I don't worry about what my teammates are doing. Because that's where you're going to get frustrated. When you start wondering, oh, why isn't my tank doing this? Why isn't my healer doing this? Why aren't my DPS carrying me? Like, that's when you get frustrated. You need to look at yourself and say, what could I have done better that game? And you know what? If you can say, I could not have done anything better that game, then just pat yourself on the back and say, look, I played my butt off that game.
All right, on to the next one.
Right. So, you know, it sucks, but just pat yourself on the back and say, man, I played really well that game.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to do in Overwatch, but yeah, the last couple times I'm playing Overwatch, I've been using a bunch of different characters that I haven't really used very much at all. I've been playing, Tracer, Doom, Genji, Ana, and it's been fun. But because of someone who doesn't play the game, who hasn't played the game that much, and doesn't have, I tend to watch it more than I play it, but intends to just not be that good with some of those more like high skill characters. Like it's nice to see, like patting on your back for just improvement. Like,
yeah,
I might get like a 3-piece with Doom because the opponent was out of position. I took advantage of it, and I'm hyped about that because before, if I wanted to take advantage of it with Doom, I couldn't even kill one of them, and now I can take out all 3. It's just sometimes just like good job, and then learning things as Tracer, like I get to the back line, I really need to one clip the Zen, not waste my time with him and then potentially die or have to hit my E and deja vu myself on
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a mindset issue, but I do think that across all video games, all the complaints that people make about Overwatch's ranked play are the exact same complaints everyone makes about every other game's ranked play. There is no difference in the complaint. My teammates are garbage. This matchmaking system, like it's the same complaint all the time.
And I think Overwatch has done better than any other game because Call of Duty, it's like you go into the ranked play and it's actually garbage. You're ranked with complete randoms that don't even even kind of somewhat narrow your match. And 2, there's like no penalty.
Right. Oh my goodness, bless you.
Is that loud?
And not really.
Oh, you said, "Oh my goodness." I was like, "Oh no, did I just like destroy the mic?"
I just like to overreact.
Yeah, I've just been a big fan of Overwatch recently. I think they've done a really good job.
I've always loved Overwatch, whether I'm playing it or not. It's been fun to watch. It's fun to play and go back to. I mean, I don't know. I don't personally see the hate. And I think that some of the hate comes from these people that have put in thousands of hours. And they need to just look at it and say, maybe.
I'd be hating.
But I think these people that have thousands and thousands of hours of Overwatch that are making themselves play it and saying, oh my God, I hate it. You just need to take a break from the game. Like, you've burned yourself out and you're still forcing yourself to play. Of course it's going to suck.
A game you played that much.
You're just mad because it's not what you want it to be in that moment. I don't know though, but I think that we have a good amount of content for this podcast. So thank you guys so much. Follow us on the Twitter. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell. That little bell so you know when this video goes live. You'll know every week. We post it every Thursday as long as I remember. And everything goes well. Last week, I rendered the entire video, which takes a while. And then when I went to upload it, it uploaded like instantly. I was like, holy cow, my internet's awesome. Uploaded entirely all black screen for the entire video. So I had to go back, re-render it, re-upload it. We're going to probably render it as soon as we finish it. So that way I know it's done for them. But, so yeah, I'm gonna put a little challenge out there. Yeah? If we get to 10 likes, not a hard challenge, 10 likes on this video, I will do the work to start putting these podcasts available on things like Spotify. I will put in that work if we can get 10 likes on this video. So that's your opportunity to show other people to this video. Let us know what we can do. If you've got any questions about any 3 of the leagues that we cover, let us know in the comments below. You can tweet us. Whatever, DM us. We will answer as many questions as we can. If you want to answer it in the video, we can do that also. That'd be really cool. But we do appreciate your guys' support. It's been a lot of fun. Logan, you got anything for him? Or are we out of here?
I'm good, man. My dogs are apparently ready to go. And,
there you go.
Yeah, it's been.
And his dog is named after Winston from Overwatch. So that's where we're going to leave you. Thank you so much, guys. We will see you next time.